Fulham against Chelsea in the West London derby, as the Blues will try to carry their newfound optimism into an on paper easier run of games, but face a Fulham that have literally just sacked their manager Claudio Ranieri. Chelsea do need to do a bit of rotation, especially Eden Hazard simply needs a rest, but are and should still be the favourites. To find out about injury news, the KEPA and Caballero situation, and everything you need to know about both sides ahead of the game, be sure to watch all of this preview. Hello there guys, and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for my preview of the Fulham versus Chelsea game taking place on Sunday afternoon. And to be honest, yes, it is a bit of an easier game, compared to our last two games especially. But with them having a new manager, of course, I'll talk about that in more detail. It's just a game that is not going to be as easy as I think people are expecting, but still, I'm very much looking forward to it. But before getting into this preview, I've got some news for you people. And it might shock some of you because I have decided to leave 100% Chelsea, and this is going to be my last video on the channel. For the time being, I might come back for a fan cam or something, when I'm in England, but this is going to be my last video as part of 100% Chelsea, like properly. And I'm going to put it as simply, as honestly as I can. It's the simple situation that as a student, it's not easy to spend this much time doing something that basically brings no money. And it simply hinders you from going to earn the money that you need. That's just the simple situation. I just need a job. I just need to earn money. That's the simple situation of where we are. I mean, I won't be leaving the scene completely, of course not. Don't you worry about that. If you want to see more of me, which I hope you do, and there will be plenty of me as well, please go over to subscribe to my personal channel. The link to it is down in the description. You can click that card up there to subscribe to it. Head over there if you care about what I have to say about Chelsea, about football, and maybe the odd other videos as well. So yeah, please head over there if you do want to see more of me. I would massively appreciate that. But of course, I wish the guys on the channel all the very best, just the best of luck. I know that they will hit 100,000 subscribers soon, which will be a little bit sad for me, of course, not to be around for that, because I did help build it up to where we are right now. But, like I said, it's simply a decision that in the situation that I'm in, I simply, I felt that I had to make. But now, onto a much more upbeat note, still before getting into the preview though, actually, sorry, this is dragging on a bit today, guys, but, this just had to be said. As you would know if you watched Tuesday's preview ahead of the Spurs game by Eunice, we've got a great offer for you at the moment. And Louis will now tell you everything about that.
What's going on, guys? So, as you can see, I am outside Fulham for the South West London derby. Fulham versus Chelsea at the weekend, a 2:05 kickoff, and we have some news for you. So, if you saw the preview last week with Eunice, you'll have seen that we are teaming up with NetBet. So, NetBet are a betting company, obviously, and they've given us a special deal ahead of Chelsea versus Dynamo Kiev. If you put down a £1 bet and sign up with the code 100Chelsea, you'll get the exclusive odds of Chelsea to beat Dynamo Kiev at 40-1. It's a great offer. Obviously, make sure you're over 18, and if you gamble responsibly, obviously, and all that stuff, and when the fun stop, that is more important. Just have a little flutter, have a laugh, that's what it's all about. But guys, obviously leave your thoughts down in the comments below ahead of this game as well. I'm going to throw it back to Lawrence. Make sure you enjoy the preview. Take care, and I'll see you later. Links are down in the description for NetBet. I'll see you later.
Yeah, thank you, Louis. Funny how editing works. He can do it at a completely different place to me, and it can still be in the same video. Isn't that great? But yeah, like he said, check the offer out. But now getting into the preview, and this preview would have been a lot more different. The preview ahead of Fulham and Chelsea would have been very different had I recorded it, say, 24 hours ago. Because since then, Fulham have sacked their manager, Claudio Ranieri. The second manager they've sacked this season after already sacking Slavica Jokanovic earlier this season in around November time, basically. Now, Scott Parker, obviously former Chelsea player, but mainly former Spurs player as well, who, was already part of the coaching staff before and was basically first Jokanovic's and then Ranieri's assistant manager, has taken over the position for the time being. Now, Fulham currently sit in 19th, second bottom basically, on just 17 points from 28 games, just 4 wins all season and 5 draws with 19 defeats. And that just leaves them, 10 points off safeties, 10 points off Southampton, who are 17th. So it's not looking very good for Fulham in this situation, and it kind of makes sense why obviously they got rid of Ranieri in a sense, because their form just hasn't been great at all, and also their goal scoring form is it's ridiculous. They have the worst goal difference in the league of -37, which is very bad, scoring 26 goals, which is the third worst in the league, but quite frankly, conceding a ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous 63 goals, by far the worst in the league. They're just not in a great position. But because they have a new manager now, it's really difficult for me to predict anything that is, going to happen now. Even if Scott Parker was the assistant beforehand already, it's also their form is kind of irrelevant. Because, I mean, yes, since Christmas, they've only won 2 games. They only had 1 draw, and that was on Boxing Day. All the other games they've lost. They lost their last 4 games on the bounce as well. But it is kind of irrelevant because I don't think anyone knows. I don't think I know. Well, I don't know for sure. I don't think Maurizio Sarri will really be able to tell what Scott Parker's going to do because he hasn't really been a manager before. Yes, he coached the under-18s at Tottenham, but other than that, he's only been an assistant to Jukanovic and Ranieri, unless I'm, heavily mistaken here. And, it's just going to be very difficult to predict. I mean, in his press conference, in his first press conference as the Fulham manager, he did speak about some injury news that do have some impact on us, I guess, as well. The defender, Alfie Mawson, is still out, so he can't play against us, along with, obviously, the goalkeeper, Marcus Bettinelli, who is out long-term. And also former Blue, Andre Schürrle, obviously the German. He's recovering from a virus currently, but he said, Scott Parker, that other than that, they're all fine to go. No one is basically hindered to play the game. So with that, I'm assuming Schürrle won't be able to recover in time to face us on Sunday. I mean, if you've watched my previews before, you'd know that I'd now usually talk about some tactics, of the opponent, their formation, their dangerment, etc. But like I said, Scott Parker hasn't been a manager before, so how the hell do I know what he's going to do? Because it's not even like he's worked under two similar types of managers before, and you can expect him to do at least somewhat similar things, because Jukanovic and Ranieri are completely different. So who on earth knows what Scott Parker's going to do? We have absolutely no idea, and like I said, I don't think Sarri will either, which does make this game, in my opinion, quite a bit more tricky. What I do know, though, is that Aleksandar Mitrovic is still the most dangerous player. He's, in my opinion, a very good striker, a poacher, very good in the air, very, very strong player, an aggressive player, which, I don't dislike at all. So, we definitely have to watch out for him if we want to get the 3 points on Sunday. But what I also expect from them is a big fight. I expect a huge fight from them. I mean, once a new manager takes over, like I said, even if it's the assistant, it can set free some new energy in the players. It can just cause a positive reaction by the players, just get more fight out of them. And that does make the game for their next opponent very difficult. And of course, we are the next opponent. I mean, we always play everyone as soon as they sack their manager. That's basically what it feels like anyway. I mean, with where they are in the table, with their recent form as well, of course we are and should still be expected to beat them, but I don't think it's going to be easy whatsoever. Like I say, it's going to be tricky to expect what they're going to do. I mean, obviously they're playing Chelsea, they're playing a much better team, and they're fighting relegation, they're fighting for their lives, if there's even that small chance that they have to stay up. So they will most likely sit back. They will most likely try to hit on the break. I don't think they're going to go all out and risk getting absolutely battered. So, you can expect that to an extent, but what kind of formation are they going to go with? 5 at the back, 4 at the back, 3 at the back, that turns into 5 at the back. It's tricky to predict. But to be honest, that is really it about Fulham, and now getting into Maurizio Sarri's pre-match press conference. Now, first of all, Sarri said that with the whole KEPA and Caballero situation, he didn't give a definitive answer. He was asked about it. Is Kepa going to be in goal now? Is the situation over and done? Sarri said after the game against Spurs, we can't kill him. And basically, he said the same thing today again. He will play in one of the next 2 games. But he didn't specify whether he will play against Fulham or whether that will be Caballero there. He just said that he will play in one of the next 2 games and that he is still Chelsea's #1 goalkeeper. On team news and injury updates, the boss said that basically we have no new injuries, which is obviously great, but did say that for rotation and sharpness reasons, we will have to, make 3 or 4 changes against Fulham. Like he said, we can't just play with the exact same team. And also was asked about and then spoke about Gonzalo Higuain and said that, he's happy with his contribution, especially against Spurs. He thought, he worked really hard and played well with his teammates, which I can only agree with, but also said that Higuain still needs to improve his physical condition. He still needs to work on it, especially in his acceleration. He said it's not like it was in Naples and, he needs to get that back. To me, I mean, he's also older than he was in Naples. He kind of lose a bit of that pace in the first 5 yards. Hopefully, he can still get it back with some training, with improving his physical condition. But that's what Sarri said anyway. I mean, he also said that Higuain is now more resistant to physical contact than he used to be back in the day, which is obviously great in the Premier League. But still, Sarri reiterated it again that he still needs to improve, especially his acceleration. But yeah, that was it from the press conference. And now getting into Chelsea and starting it off by speaking about the lineup. And to be honest, like I said earlier, like Sarri hinted at as well, I think we do need to do quite a bit of rotation if I'm going to be honest. I mean, starting it off in goal, obviously we're going to go with the 4-3-3 formation. We're going to do the same thing as ever, basically just less of a flat midfield 3, I think, and less of a 4-5-1 with the ball this time round, because we're not playing Man City or Spurs, we're playing Fulham. It is obviously a bit different. But starting off in goal, will it be Kepa? Will it be Caballero? To be honest, I just don't know. I don't know what the better decision is. I mean, me personally, I don't particularly rate Willy Caballero. And yes, it went well against Spurs. He didn't have much to do, but when he did, he did well. His passing was a lot better than I expected as well. But do we want to take that risk again? Last season when he played, he didn't particularly play well last season, I have to say. And do we want to take that risk again? To be honest, I'm not sure. But the way that Sarri said it, that Kepa will play one of the next 2 games, I think Caballero is more likely to play again on Sunday, and after that, Kepa will just play pretty much every game again. I think that's just the more likely situation. He's going to drop him for 2 games, and then he's going to be back in the side. That's just what I think. But again, coming to rotation, the back 4, I think it needs to change quite drastically. I mean, It might sound a bit ludicrous, but Azpilicueta needs to be left out. He needs a rest. The guy has played every single game in recent weeks. Every single game. Zappacosta hasn't played, well, since ever. Since he came on against United, which was weird, but still Azpi started that game. So I think for one game, Zappacosta, come on, he should be fine. On the left side, as the left back, I think Emerson should play. I still think that Alonso had not really good game, but he had a good game against Spurs on Wednesday. So I would understand if he still played on Sunday against Fulham. But with the opponent that we're playing, Fulham, like I said, I expect him to sit deep and try to hit on the counter. Against that type of team, I just think Emerson is much better suited, because when the opponent sits deep, our fullbacks have to push forward and help in attack. Emerson is much better at that. And when they hit on the break, the fullback's job is to get it back into position as quickly as possible, and Emerson is much quicker. So in my opinion, he's just better suited for the position. But like I said, Alonso did well on Wednesday, so I wouldn't be furious if Alonso played again. Coming to the centre-backs, I also believe that David Luiz needs and deserves a rest. I mean, he played all of the last 3 games. He played against Malmo. He played 120 minutes against Man City. He played against Spurs. 3 great performances in those games, particularly against Man City and Spurs. So, just give him a rest. He's not the youngest anymore either, so bring Andreas Christensen in for him next to Antonio Rudiger. I don't think in the Premier League we should, throw Ampadu in there as the centre-back. I think that would be a slight bit too risky. You might disagree with me, but that's me. So, Rudiger was rested against Malmo, so he should be able to play here, and maybe then rest him against Kiev on Thursday and play Luiz and Christensen in that. I think that will be, a good move to take on. And then going into midfield, to be honest, I would keep Jorginho in the team, on Sunday and rest him on Thursday, because, he has to stay there in the team as the regista, because Kante needs to rest at some point. He was the one that played against Malmo last week, and then obviously played against Man City and against Spurs as well. And Sarri is not going to rest Jorginho and Kante in the same game. We just don't have those options in midfield, so he's not going to do that. And like I said, Kante played those last 3 games, so rest Kante tomorrow, have him on the bench, of course, and bring him on if we necessarily need to. But ideally, we don't need him. And then as the right centre midfielder instead of him, I would start Mateo Kovacic. I think that could possibly actually be his best position, as the regista as well, but I think as the right centre midfielder, he would probably be best, because he's got a lot of energy, he's decent at tackling, he does a lot of running, he's maybe not always the most disciplined in positioning. Yes, in some games when we're really drilled, like City, when we beat them at the bridge, like Spurs in midweek now, he's very drilled, he's very, disciplined, but maybe not always. So I think as the right centre midfielder, he would actually be very good. So, I put him there, and then hopefully, as the left centre midfielder, I'd play Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I don't know still whether he's fit enough to start a game. I don't know. I hope he is. If he's not, it's just going to be Ross Barkley. And to be honest, I expect it to be Ross Barkley, simply because that's a little bit more likely. And then up front, coming to the front 3, like I said in the intro already, Eden Hazard, in my opinion, simply needs a rest. He was knackered after, when he came off against Spurs. He didn't have the greatest of performances. He worked really hard, but offensively, he didn't have the best of performances. It kind of felt like his brain knew what he was, had to do, basically, but basically his legs just didn't do it in a sense. So, it is a bit tricky. In my opinion, he needs a rest. Also, Pedro worked his socks off against Spurs, played the majority of the game against City as well. So for me, it simply should be Willian on the left and Callum Hudson-Odoi on the right, or the other way around. Doesn't really matter. But, the way we know Maurizio Sarri by now, it is still an important game, because we are fighting for top 4. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was Willian and Pedro to start the game, and hopefully, Callum Hudson-Odoi would come out throughout the game. And then up front, as the striker, Sarri spoke about the physical condition of Higuain, and I don't think it's a matter of not resting enough. I think it's a matter of gaining more and more match fitness. Playing the Serie A, then, having a bit of time off around the period when he transferred to us, and then also playing in the Premier League is not the exact same thing. So I would play him for, say, an hour or so, and then bring Olivier Giroud on. I think that would be the best situation to go with for this game. And like I said, Sarri only mentioned 3 to 4 changes. I kind of predicted and hoped for 6 changes, I think, here. So are we going to see this? Probably not. But, it's difficult to predict who Maurizio Sarri is going to rest. Some of them make sense, some of them don't. But, the game is, of course, going to be very different to our last 2 games. It's not going to be the Man City and Spurs games. Quite possibly it might actually be a little bit similar to the Malmo game last week. Hopefully with as clear of a scoreline, that would be nice, because a bit of repair work on our goal difference would actually be good as well. But like I said, I expect them to sit pretty deep. I expect them, to try to hit on the counter, but defend, as a compact unit, and try to just keep us out, basically. And that will mean we'll have to do a lot of sideways passing, even though people don't like to say it, but that's just what you have to do when the opponent sits deep. We'll have to do a lot of sideways passing to try and break them down, to try and find an opening. And to be honest, with how poor they've been defensively, I just can't, as much as they might have more energy and be more motivated with a new manager now, I guess, it's still not going to be, extremely good now. They still conceded 63 goals this season, so I'm confident that we will find a way through. And we just need to make sure that we keep the same intensity, work rate, and also aggression that we had in the last 2 games. We just need to keep that up. And if we do that, I think we're going to be just fine and be able to get the 3 points. Along with, of course, a lot of movement off the ball, on the ball, when the other team is in possession, when we're in possession, but still with the players off the ball, and quick passing. If we do all of that, I think we're going to be completely fine, completely fine. And again, like I have done in previous, previews, I'm not going to give a prediction. I'm not going to do that, but I do think that we are going to win, which obviously we need to do because it is crucial for the type for top 4. But yeah, to be honest, this is really it for me. Like Louis said in his clip earlier, check out the description for the NetBet offer, obviously. And yeah, this is it. I would like to just say a massive and just huge thank you for all of the support that you lot, the viewers, have given me, throughout my time here, basically. Whether that was on social media, whether that was in a comment here, I've absolutely loved it. I'm hugely grateful. But again, I'm not leaving the scene. I'm not just going away completely. You're not never going to see me again. Like I said earlier, please head over to my channel and subscribe. I can't do the same card twice, so click the link in the description now. I would massively appreciate it if you could subscribe to me over there. Like I said, that would be huge. All the best to the channel. I hope to hit 100,000 subscribers very, very soon. But to end it all on here, as always, it is up to Chelsea. I'll see you next time. Just next time on my own channel.